All right. Hello and welcome. This is the Transformation Think Tank Show, and my name is Doyle Buehler. I define and design working strategies for your journey of digital and business transformation. Business transformation is all around us, and it's inevitable. It's estimated that 40% of Fortune 500 companies, will not exist in 10 years if they fail to engage in transformation. Transformation is a journey, and these are some of their stories. Today, I'm with Marta Grutka. She's the key advisor for M Global Advisory, and she works all around the world, and right now she's joining me from Sydney. And M Global Advisory is a company that helps startups and Fortune 500 companies elevate their global impact and expand their footprint into new markets with an emphasis on the fast-growing Asia Pacific region. Wow. Thanks so much for joining us, Marta.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. So tell us a little bit about yourself from the business side. You're in Sydney right now, and sounds to be like all over that area. So.
Yeah, I'm in Sydney at the present moment. I've been very, very blessed to have a truly international background and career that's in the upstate New York and New York City area, and then kind of progressed down to the Washington D.C. area, and then into France and Belgium for a while.
Wow.
Then I found myself on the west coast of the United States, when in my time on the East Coast of the United States, before I moved west, I was one of the early AOL digerati, is what I call us, kind of starting to create all of these crazy things that we are now obsessed with today. And I then moved out to Hollywood and helped lead some of the global anti-piracy communications campaigns for the movie studios, kind of bringing the best of all of the international and the digital media entertainment side together. In that role, I started going out to Asia at least once a month, fighting the good fight against piracy, or helping the team that was fighting piracy, or promoting the interest of the artist is the better way of saying it. And that really, kind of opened my eyes into that whole part of the world, which has become my home since then. So I ended up moving to Singapore in 2004, and I've had regional and global roles in my own company in the region since then. So kind of playing around. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no kidding. You bring new meaning to digital nomad.
It's funny because it's become a big trend. Right now there's a lot of talk about quote unquote millennials, and part of it's macroeconomic forces that are driving it, and part of it is the beauty of the freedom that this technology gives you. But I think I probably was one of the first. We just naturally were traveling around the world and being able to operate from anywhere, and it's become a way of life that has very beautiful elements, and I think it's a very unconventional thing for a lot of people, but it's becoming more mainstream for sure.
And it seems maybe that's part of this digital transformation as well. It's giving people those tools to be able to do it and operate from anywhere. I'm just curious with your sort of, because, we talk about digital transformation a lot, and there's obviously some winners and some losers, and coming from the US and, the movie field and that sort of thing. Did you see what happened? Well, obviously you saw what happened to companies like Blockbuster, but could you see sort of what they missed, or how they kind of misengaged or misfired?
Yeah, well, I think, that's a fantastic question, because I think on the one hand, it's misengage and misfiring because people get bogged down by the actual systems that are around us. So I think it's sometimes just a matter of a blind spot. In the case of the movie studios, you really have, and if you go to CES today, they're still talking about the exact same issues that they were back in 2002 in a lot of ways. And the reason for that, in my mind, is, getting the laws and the policy to kind of keep a pace and keep abreast and keep up to speed literally with the change of the technology and the consumer appetite for what's possible. I think that that's number one, something that it just always has to be balanced. But it also, I think that putting too much of an emphasis on being a competitor, and not really kind of saying, okay, here's some core industry issues that we all could benefit from coming to the table on. I think what ends up happening sometimes is companies stay a little bit too siloed in terms of, well, if we come to the table with Disney on this, then that means we're going to lose our competitive edge on that.
Right.
And I think that creates another layer of kind of fear-based thinking that doesn't really kind of drive the beautiful solutions focused opportunities like Netflix found, for instance, to kind of really, how do we take where we're at and actually create positive disruption in a way where we're really reinventing not only the model, but really elevating the pie and in the highest interest of all concerned.
But is it maybe sticking your head in the sand too? And just to continue with that thought, I actually take a look at my LinkedIn because I posted about, in Australia, there's civic video, right? Which is sort of meeting a very similar fate. And for some reason, it's like 10 years later, which actually is blowing my mind. But one of the quotes from one of the owners or franchisees is that they were closing because people were pirating movies or weren't paying for their movies. And I thought of that and it's like, well, I'm not sure that that's the real reason. I mean, yes, that's a potential issue, but were they just sticking their head in their sand going, well, it's people want to enjoy movies. Like, look at the success of Netflix and look at the success of all these digital streaming services. Were they right or wrong in that assumption?
I think it's not about right or wrong as it is maybe a little bit of what you said, sticking your head in the sand and not just asking what else is possible. I think the first, easiest way, any kind of transformation, it always kind of comes from within. And it's very easy. You can see when you're kind of clinging to what you know and you're you believe in what you're doing so much that you don't see maybe where you are kind of blindsided a little bit by what's going on or just in denial. And it's a good example what you just said because it's kind of like, seriously,
Well, I think there's still a few civic videos running in Sydney, so you can stop by and take a picture.
Well, I think on the other hand, on the other extreme, that's perhaps an example of people kind of like head in the sand, kind of oblivious to what's going on, like get up with the times. But what I see a lot of companies do on the flip side is they rush to try to jump on the bandwagon of what everybody else is doing without really considering, okay, how can we still be different? Is this what really people want? How, are we thinking it all the way through? Is it sustainable? And is it, are we going to really, again, be creating value through making this change?
Yeah, and that really is important because if you don't have those pieces, you could, go on either side of it. Yeah, head in your sand, kind of Blockbuster, civic video. But at the same time, if you're trying to, do too much, then, there's been a lot of failures there where they've embraced that technology. A lot of the is it like Periscope, for example, like the live video streaming and that sort of thing, person-to-person live video streaming, they've come and gone too. So, are they too far ahead? So there's got to be this kind of medium point, I think. And I believe that's kind of where you're working in that space is how do you actually manage both extremes of that? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I think the thing that's coming up for me as I hear you, kind of recapping that is the bigger picture issue that I am kind of passionate about right now is everyone's jumping on the bandwagon of how do we do something that's going to get more eyeballs?
Right.
How are we going to sell advertising?
Yeah.
How are we going to, make the quick, fast buck? And for me, fundamentally, that's driving a lot of weird, quote unquote, new businesses and where people think that they're really kind of doing like a new Fat Your Snapchat chat app that's going to, be the next,
Could you
whatever.
say that again? What was that? A Fat Cat Snapchat?
I said it a few years ago at dinner with some friends and it kind of stuck. Fat Your Snapchat chat app.
Okay.
Whatever that looks like. I mean, and when I was, I just went back to Los Angeles for 4 years and I was in Santa Monica, which is, touting itself as Silicon Beach. And that was the primary conversation that you would hear is, this new app that's going to get you this many eyeballs, that's going to do the same thing that 5 other apps are already doing, but, kind of selling you on the idea of how it was going to be better. And again, how you're going to sell more ads in the process. which to me, I think is kind of again, that's definitely the extreme. That's not exciting.